Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, this is the May 2026 book tag, and it is the Splendid Spring book tag. And this is the one I'm hoping to try to do kind of near the end of spring, and this is the one I did in May last year. And I was looking at, like, since I schedule out a lot of my videos, I was looking at the videos I had scheduled, and I realized I haven't done a book tag for April yet. Yeah, it's February right now, so I'm trying to schedule out in advance while I can. And then hopefully once things settle down, I can take a break from recording and then let the videos catch up a little bit. I try not to let it catch up too much, just because I want some space between me and when I have to post to YouTube again. Because then that way I have a little bit of time to plan it out as needed. So I have to do, once I do this one, I have to figure, I know what I'm going to do for my April book tag, and I already have it set up. I'll have to probably record another day to do the April book tag. So, but right now, that is besides the point. This is a May book tag. We're doing this a little out of order, but it's okay. We're here for the vibes. So, I mentioned this in the last video that I did sort of related to this, where I did a repeat of a book tag that I had done previously. But I am at a point where I'm redoing some of the book tags that I've done in the past, like I just said. So since that's the case with this book tag, I do have some ground rules for this kind of a situation. And these are my rules, like I mentioned. I don't even remember which one I did last time. Most recently, I don't remember. It's okay. But these are my ground rules. These are likely to change, get added onto, have stuff removed, but these are the ground rules. I don't think I've changed anything since the last one, but here are the rules. Number one, my earlier video must be tagged. My earlier video of the tag must be linked below, and if I've done one prior, that's linked below. If I've done 5 prior, all 5 are linked below. So in this case, I've only done one back in 2025, so that one is linked below. And then the second rule is that any prior versions I've done are, when they're linked down below, they're identified by the year. So if you look in like the link section in my description, 2025, after that year is the link 2025 version of this video. And then that's how it'll be. So if I've done like 2023, 2024, and 2025, it would be categorized in that way. The third rule is I have to watch my earlier video or videos before getting into the prompts for the current year. So in this case, I have to watch 2025 before getting into 2026 prompts. And then number 4 is I have to have my answers for the current book tag video before. I have to have them prepped before watching the previous videos for the tag. So I have it right here. This is my stack. We're good to go. And then the 5th one is that it's okay if some of my answers overlap. I think one of them does overlap. It's okay if some of the answers overlap, but if any of the prompts do overlap with the answers, then I have to come up with a second answer for those prompts. So let's say I think the first prompt for me is one where I overlap. So in that case, I would have to come up with a second answer for that prompt, if possible. If not, it's not a huge deal, but just to keep it kind of engaging and different and try to showcase different books on my shelves a little bit more. So with all that said, I will come back to you once I have watched 2025's video. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna watch the section where I answer the prompts, and I might skim through it a little bit and just see what I answered with. So that's just kind of the game plan right now, and I will come back to you once that happens. Okay, so I haven't actually gotten to my answers for the prompts yet. I'm just about to start the actual prompt. I skimmed through it a little bit. And it's kind of funny, this video is where I had the initial idea to do the May the 4th tag be with you. May the 4th tag, book tag. So that's where this originated from. Again, I'm not a big Star Wars fan like I mentioned in that video. But what I was gonna say is, from what I can see, so I can kind of see, I can see the first 3 books on the top, and then I can see a little bit of the 4th book. And from what I can see, so far I don't have any overlap, which is great. So yeah, so far we're good. And something else I will say, I'll get used to this setup, is something I miss about my old room. This is the setup I have right now. I'm splitting with my sister, and it is what it is right now. As I said, I'll grow to like this setup. I do kind of miss the old setup where my bookshelf was, well, it's like right here. It was like just off camera off this side, so I could very easily grab while sitting. No, I have to get up to get the books. But that's a very, very, very minor gripe, and I could do with a couple stops a day. Okay, so I kind of forgot that for the 4th prompt, I don't have, is it the 4th prompt? It's the third prompt. For the 3rd prompt, I realized that I realized in this video, the one that I'm watching, or last year's video, I did not have the copy of the book that I was talking about. Same with this video for the 3rd prompt. It's a totally different book, thank God. But it's kind of funny. I forgot that. So 3rd prompt, 4th prompt, and 5th prompt, I'm safe. So far we're doing good with not having to repeat, which is a relief. I got to the very end, so not needing to have a 2nd book for the prompt. And I got to the very end, the very last prompt did me out. And it's like, part of it is because this book fits so well with that prompt. And if you're scrolling through my description, you know what it is. But like, I have to find a 2nd book for the last prompt. So I will do that. Give me one moment. I'll go do that, and then I'll be back and answer the questions for this year. So you're at another angle right now because I'm looking at my bookshelf, and it is, the thing is I could choose a book, and I could choose a book just based on, let's say I could choose a book from a series just based on that specific book and not the rest of the series, or I could choose a single book. But the thing is like, I don't have a whole lot of books where it's like they were the embodiment of sunshine. Nope, none of those. Like, this is also part of the reason why I gave myself this challenge for any of the book tags that I'm repeating, to give myself this challenge, to make myself think about these prompts a little bit more, rather than just going being like, oh yeah, I'm repeating this book. Hey, let's give myself a challenge of giving myself a 2nd book to choose for that prompt. And the thing is there are quite a few books that I don't quite remember because either I borrowed from the library, or I have them through Libro FM. So it's like just trying to, we'll check Libro FM actually. I'll check it in a minute once I'm done recording this part. But it's like, this is why I gave myself the challenge, like I said, because I'm trying to make myself think about this. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to go with, so I'm just writing it down. I have a physical book for it, but I don't want to grab it just because we're still kind of finagling some stuff in our room. So I have my stack here, And I'm going to start with this book tag. And then, like I said, I know what I'm going to do for the April book tag. So I just had to record that at a later date. But with all that said, with all that done, jeez, that was loud. Let's get into this book tag. The first prompt is everywhere you look, flowers are blooming. Choose a book with flowers on the cover on the cover you love or think you'll love. So I loved it. Remarried Empress. So it's not gonna focus. There we go. Volume 2. This has, where's the 2? I was covering it. Volume 2. And I've only gotten to volume 8 just because that's what I've had access to at my local Barnes & Nobles. I'm going to start getting more. I was talking with my sister, and I'm someone who doesn't mind spoilers too much. And we were kind of talking about some of the things that were going on in it. And I don't want to spoil too much for you all. But there were some things where it's like, we were talking about it, and it's like, yeah, that's not the greatest look. But I will stand behind my girl all day, every day. So in this, just to give a description, not volume 2 specifically, but in the Remarried Empress, you're following Navier and Chauvesu, and they were like seen as the perfect couple, like solid, put together, great. And then one day, Chauvesu tells Navier, like, I want a divorce. And Navier says, I'll accept under the condition that I get to remarry someone of my choosing. So that's not a spoiler, you guys. That literally happens at the beginning, and then you get a flashback and then lead up to that. So yeah, that's why it's called the Remarried Empress. It's not a spoiler. So that's the Remarried Empress. Prompt 2 is Spring Travel, a book you've read or would read or would want to read while traveling. So book I've read while traveling is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I've listened to this as an audiobook while I've traveled places, just because it's an easy audiobook. I also listen to it while I'm going to sleep. It's one of the audiobooks I have on cycle for while I'm going to bed, just because, again, it's an easy listen. Although there are parts I can't listen to because Andy Serkis does way too good of a job. And I can't listen to it before bed. So in this, you're following Bilbo Baggins. You can tell I know the story. And he's basically strong-armed into a quest with Gandalf and Thorin Oakenshield into helping Thorin Oakenshield and his fellow dwarves reclaim the homeland of Erebor. So the next prompt is Spring Fling, a book you were obsessed with for a short period of time but quickly cast aside. Now, I am a proponent for the Disney Twisted Tales. There have been quite a few that I've loved. I will say though, the Disney Twisted Tales, this is probably one of the few book types or books or series that I would recommend going into knowing very little. So for the Disney Twisted Tale series, go into it knowing very little aside from the what if questions. Because I've been burned too many times with them giving away big pieces of information away in the synopsis. So stay away from the synopsis for the Disney Twisted Tales. But for me, for the answer for this prompt, Spring Fling, it would be Go the Distance by Jen Kalanita. And I love Hercules. I do. I love Hercules so much. And I love the music. I love the story. I love Beg. I love Herc. Hades is peak. Although his voice actor is not anymore. Hades would be I can't talk right now. Hades would be so freaking ashamed. Anyway, so in this, you're following the what if question of what if Meg had to become a goddess to be with Herc. And that's all you need to know. I didn't care too much about this story. Like, it was fine for what it is, and like in the moment, like I was loving it, but then afterwards I was like, the only thing I really cared about was this one subplot line that had no real effect on the rest of the story. And it was like, okay, that's all I cared about. Okay. Like, I'm not mad I read it. I just didn't care about it, you know? So, Moving on, the next prompt is Freshly Mowed Grass, a book that personifies a middle-aged dad up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning to mow. At a middle-aged dad up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday mowing the lawn. For this one, Cleaning the Kingdom. This is by Ken Pellman and Lynn Barron, forward by Rolly Crump. And rest in peace, Rolly. Also, for those of you who are fans of the recent Haunted Mansion, Crump was named after Rolly Crump. And I love that. I love that little nod to him because he did so much. Even though it didn't get super far with the actual Haunted Mansion, he did a lot towards the Haunted Mansion. I love Rolly Crump. May rest in peace. So Alistair Crump, and then William Gracie. In both of them, William Gracie was named after Yale Gracie. So I love that. Anyway, so this one definitely. I mean, just because it's like Disney, and tidying it up. But this is basically to give you the description because I'm trying to be better about that now. So far, I'm doing better. What is it like to be the eyes and ears of the institution known as the happiest place on earth? How does it really feel to work day in and day out, leading part of the world-famous Disneyland custodial team? Just how do they keep such a busy place so clean? Find the answers to these questions and more as secrets are revealed in this unauthorized, honest, and affectionate memoir from insiders who struggled to keep guests happy, tame wild new cast members, and to keep the original Disneyland clean through a time of tremendous change, growth, and controversy for the resort. You'll discover that cleaning up is just a part of the job as you experience heartwarming triumphs, breaking tragedies, and hearty laughs along with the people who live them. So that's what this was a fun book to read, and like just reading some of their stories, that like I feel like it gives you such a different perspective on being a Disney fan, on being someone who loves it. And like I've mentioned in other videos, I mentioned I think in my Subculture of Disney Adults video, Disney adults are some of the first people to call out Disney. We are some of the first people to criticize them, and a large part of that is because we know what it's like to be a Disney fan, what it's like to have Disney bring us that joy, that when they don't do that as well, or they don't keep up Walt Disney's original intent, not that Walt Disney did everything right, but if they don't keep up his original intent with Disney, the company, we're some of the first people to call it out. So yeah, and I feel like that's a really good this is really good insight to it, because I've noticed that a lot of the Disney cast and like the Disney especially like Disneyland cast members and like the parks cast members, like they're some of the first people to call out Disney. So if that's while they still very much love Disney, so I feel like that's proof enough. So the next prompt, where am I? There I am. The next prompt is Rain Showers, a book that made you really sad, but the sun still shines through in the end. No. I love this series. It made me so sad. Some parts of it tore me up, and I will never recover from this. I did a reading log for this. That is Heaven Official's Blessing by Mojiang Tongju, or otherwise known as Tianguan Sifu, TGCF. I love this. I love this series so much. It ripped me apart, especially the Blackwater arc. That ripped me apart because I love Windmaster. I love Windmaster so much. They are my baby. I love them so much. It tore me apart, and I will never get over that. I just need them all to be happy. I needed a magic wand at the end where it's like kind of like what they did for the anime of Magic Knight Wrath season 2. Like I needed someone to be like, okay, everything that happened because of this, like everyone who died because of this, you get to come back to life. So I needed something kind of like that for Windmaster, where it's like, okay, your powers are taken away because of like all these lead up. You get to be a god again. You get to ascend again. I needed that. Not that that would have happened, and I don't think Windmaster would have wanted that in the end, but like, My baby needed to be happy. Anyway, so in this, you're following Gujilia, who is ascended for the 3rd time as a god. Not too many of the other gods are happy, and he's trying to repay those debts while also investigating some stuff that the Emperor sends him out to investigate. So that's what you need to know for this. The next prompt is Animals Waking Up, a book that pulled you out of a reading slump. Now, there are quite a few books that have pulled me out of a reading slump. Excuse me. But, like, Heaven Official's Blessing is one. I just didn't want to name that 2 times in a row. Delicious in Dungeon is another. But I didn't choose Delicious in Dungeon, which got me, like, a safe pass. Because I chose it for this prompt last year. I didn't choose it this year, so... The one I chose this time was For Whom the Bell Tolls by J.C. Lynn. I have the hardcover, it's so pretty. For Whom the Bell Tolls. And in this, you're following Lily, who's passed away, and she's not necessarily thrilled with her arrival in the afterlife, but she ends up going to the one place that most people wouldn't dare to go to, even though she's ended up in her own paradise. She goes down to hell. She's like, I'll go. And then she starts helping out the demons, and she sets up the help desk. So this is kind of like the prelude to the Hellspell series on TikTok. So I love this. I cannot wait for the 2nd book. So yeah, For Whom the Bell Tolls. I love it. And it pulled me out of a reading slump in like the best way possible. So I'm so happy. The next prompt is Spring Vacation, a book whose friend group you would like to spend spring break with. I just said I don't want to mention it 2 times in a row. Technically, I haven't. There's a book in between it. So, Heaven Official's Blessing. I would love to spend, like, I would love to just be in their friend group and be like, let's go on a spring break type trip. Just have a break for everyone and everything. We're going to break. Because, like, yes, that would be so fun. I already described it, so that's what you're getting. And then the next prompt is Bloom and Grow, a book that made you grow as a person. So there are a few, and I feel like, especially since I am recording this in February, a lot of the books that I've read this month, since I'm doing my February reading vlog, the Black History Month / Library Lovers Month, a lot of the books that I'm reading because of and for this reading vlog, 100% have made me grow. But I have chosen The Mayor of Maxwell Street by Avery Cunningham. I absolutely adore this book. I need to reread it because it was such a thick book, and I feel like I read it a while ago that, like, I need a refresher on it. When was this published? And I think part of the reason why I'm trying to figure out when it was published. 2024. So it's been a couple of years since this came out, so I feel like I need a refresher on this. And just something I always try to advocate is reading stuff you're not comfortable with and reading outside of your comfort zones in terms of authors and stories. And that was also part of why I was like, okay, I need to do a reading vlog for February and I want to do something different. And Black History Month. Okay, Black History Month. I don't have a lot of books by Black authors. Okay, it's also Library Lovers Month in February. Let's combine the 2. So all of the books that I've been reading in February have been books I've been borrowing from the library. I've literally not read a single book from my own bookshelf that I own. All of them, this month, all of them have been from the library, which I'm really proud of. I think there are some that I'm definitely going to try to buy once this month is over. I didn't really put myself on a book buying ban for February, but I just, with how crazy the move was, I just didn't, even if I did, I technically broke it because I got the part 2 of Magic Knight Earth. Anyway, not the point. So, Mayor of Maxwell Street, back on topic. The year is 1921 and America is burning. A fire of vice and virtue rages on every shore, and Chicago is its beating heart. Nellie Sawyer is the daughter of the wealthiest N in America. I'm not saying that word. And honestly, no white person should be saying that word, in my opinion. Nellie is the daughter of the wealthiest Black in America. Black family in America, whose affluence catapulted his family into the heights of the Black society. After the unexpected death of her only brother, Nellie becomes the premier debutante overnight. But Nellie has aspirations beyond societal influence in marriage. For the past year, she has worked undercover as an investigative journalist, sharing the achievements and tribulations of everyday Black people living in the shadow of Jim Crow. Her latest assignment thrusts her into the den of a dangerous vice lord, the so-called mayor of Maxwell Street. So, I think that's all you need to know. I love this book. I need to reread it. Maybe that'll be something I transition into March with. So the next prompt is park picnic. Of what character you think would pack the best picnic basket? And I immediately knew. I knew. Because I was thinking, just with what this series revolves around, the Apothecary Diaries, I was thinking Mama would pack a lot of poison for herself, which would stress Jinchi out. And Gyokyo would be here for that as entertainment. She would be here to watch Jinchi stress out over Mao Mao. The Emperor wouldn't really care. Loman would pack simple stuff. Lakan would be trying to impress Mao Mao. Jinchi would also be trying to impress Mao Mao. And then I was like, you know what? Gaoshan. He would pack a really good picnic basket. So my answer is Gaoshan from the Apothecary Diaries. And in this you follow Mao Mao, who is trained in the art of herbal medicine, and she's basically abducted and forced to work in the Inner Palace. And then initially she was trying to keep a low profile, not let people know she was literate, and then she's found out to be literate, and then she's promoted, sort of. Not really, but you get my drift. And then the very last prompt is A Sunny Day, a book that is the embodiment of sunshine. So the book that I originally picked for this, and that is Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine, which was the same one I picked as last year. I'm probably not going to pick this. I'm probably not going to not pick this for this prompt. But in this, to give you the description, from cooking to alchemy to even brewing tea, Elliot Rotherland is a certified child prodigy thanks to her secret weapon. She's a transmitigator. Having purchased an insurance package at the moment of her untimely end, Elliot has the perks of a top-tier support system and item shop to fall back on. And in a world of a notoriously brutal time loop novel, she's going to need all the help she can get, because with a hero slated for an early death, Elliot might just have to become an S-Class heroine. This is like, I've only read like the first two. Embodiment of Sunshine. She is the embodiment of sunshine, and I love her so much. And I kind of want to cosplay her, so yeah. I do have some stuff saved to be able to cosplay her, but we'll see how that goes. So, and then the next book that I chose for this, because there was the overlap, I do have the physical book. I just did not feel like getting it. It is Disney Adults by AJ Wolf, and I feel like that's a good enough answer for this, because so many Disney adults just are out here living out their lives, healing their inner child, letting themselves just be purely unadulteratedly happy without worrying about the rest of the world judging them. And we're just letting ourselves be happy. No conditions, no caveats. It's like, I'm going to Disney, I'm going to be happy there. Like with me, something I always say is like, my happy place within my happy place of Disneyland is the Tiki Room. That's my happy place in the happy place. And if I do not have my Dole Whip and Tiki Room, I did not go to Disney. Like, that is my happy place. Like, I could do that on loop for 24 hours. I don't want to, because then that might ruin it for me, but I could do that on loop for 24 hours. So it's like, there's no shame in being that purely happy with, like I said, no conditions, no caveats. So that's why I feel like that book is the embodiment of sunshine, because AJ Wolf, the author, does share some stories from Disney adults as to why Disney is our happy place. So it's like, I don't have to be sad all the time. Or this is the one place where I don't have to be sad, or I don't have to worry. I mean, it can be stressful, but it's like I don't have to worry, I don't have to stress. I can just go to Disney, whether it's returning to a favorite movie or a favorite show or returning to the parks, and I can just be. So that's what that is. And those are my answers for these prompts for this book tag. And with all that said, thank you all for watching. I'm tagging anyone and everyone who wants to do this. Comment down below, do your own video, what have you. I'd love to know your answers. Again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.